I think we are live. I'm just checking on my phone real quick to double check. All right, perfect. I'm going to test a comment real quick before we get started, just to make sure that it's working and that I can see them on my end. All right, and I can. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Let me know where you're watching from. And I'm just going to wait a few seconds to let everyone hop on. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the presentation here and go ahead and jump in because I have a few things to talk about before we actually start. So today I'm going to be giving you the website 101. So we want to make sure that your website is effectively equipped in order to make it work for you. So my name is Mallory. I am the project coordinator here at Ugly Mug Marketing. So I deal with all things websites and can answer or try to answer any questions that you have throughout the presentation today. But we do want to do a little giveaway today for people who interact with me. So whenever I ask questions, just answer them in the comments, and that will put you in the giveaway to win a book by John Maxwell, which is titled The Self-Aware Leader. It's a book that I actually read a few months ago, and I really love it. Yes. And then at the end, we have a special offer for everyone watching. So it's valued at $425, and you'll definitely want to stay tuned to see what that is. So I want to know, where are you going on vacation this year? Or if you've already went on a vacation, let me know where you went. I'm curious to know. I want to start going to some different places. I feel like I go to the beach every year, which I love. You can't go wrong with the beach. I'm definitely a beach girl. But I definitely want to start trying out some new vacation spots. So I went to Panama City Beach 2 weeks ago. So let me know where you went on vacation. And remember that when you comment, that puts you in to win the book, The Self-Aware Leader by John Maxwell. All right, so I am going to go ahead and jump right in. So we're going to start out with 10 questions to ask yourself about your website. Shannon, you went to Navarre, Florida, I believe. Is that before Pensacola or is it after? I get all of the cities confused, honestly. But I love Florida. I'm a Florida girl. So like I said, we're going to go through 10 questions to ask yourself about your website. So the first question is, do you have a website? So this might sound like a silly question, but if you're a business owner, then this is really something that you should ask yourself is, if you don't have a website, how could you benefit from having one? So even if you don't have a website, this workshop still pertains to you, because these are good questions that you can ask yourself in the future when you decide that you want to get a website. Number 2, is it your goal? I'm sorry, I'm covering up the presentation. Let me do this a different way. Just a moment. All right. Is your goal the focus of your site? So if you have a website, you should know the goal of your website. And even more importantly than you knowing the goal of your website, the visitors of your website should know the goal. So if your goal is to get people to apply to work with you, that should be very clear as soon as people come to your website. So there should be apply now buttons. If the goal of your website is for people to call you and book an appointment, that should be very clear. So maybe there's a click to call button at the top of the website, or it says call now to book an appointment. Your visitors should know what you want them to do. Does the site capture leads? On every website, there should be a way to turn the users of your website into actual leads. So this means that they don't necessarily have to make a purchase from you, but you want a way to capture your viewers' information on your website so that way you can market to them even further. So I have two examples here. On the left, you can see the subscribe and enjoy 10% off. So as soon as somebody enters their email, they get a 10% coupon, which benefits them, but also you get their email address, which benefits you. So that way you can continue marketing to this person. So that way, even if they don't make a purchase today, maybe they will in the next few weeks. So once you have that email address, you can really market to them. And it's very similar on the right here. You see an example, and this is actually on the Ugly Mug website. You see an example of our contact form, and it says, let's do something amazing together. And they can enter their contact information and a message. So once somebody fills this out, we have a follow-up system to where we can then reach out to them and start working with them. So if we didn't have this contact form, the viewer might not want to call us, and we would never get their information. So having a contact form on your website is a really good way to turn viewers into leads. When are you going to Navarre, Shannon? Number 4, is there a face above the fold? So just like a newspaper, not that newspapers are very relevant anymore, but on newspapers, you want to put the most important information above the fold of the newspaper. So you want to be able to relate to your customers, and you want there to be a face of someone above the fold. So in this example, let's say that there's a company that does construction. So on the left here, you can see a construction project, and on the right, you can see the workers. So if your goal of your website is to hire workers for construction, the picture of other employees is going to appeal more to them than the picture of the actual project. So it's great to have pictures of your projects on your website, but it's even more important to relate to your customers and have faces above the fold. So if possible, always have a picture of someone at the top of your website. So if you sell jewelry, you want to have someone wearing your jewelry as the top picture of your website versus just a picture like a necklace laying on a table. Even if it's really pretty, people can relate more to somebody actually wearing your product. Number 5, is there social proof? So this kind of ties into my last point about having a face above the fold. That's one way to have social proof, but there's more than just that. People trust others more than they trust you. A great example of this is Amazon reviews. I don't know about you, but before I buy anything on Amazon, I'm going to see how many stars it has, how many reviews it has, and if they're negative or positive. And even like the photos are key. So when people post a picture of the product they got, that puts more trust in that product than anything, or more distrust in some cases. So these are 2 examples. On the left, these are case studies. So it gives a brief description of the company's website that we actually worked on, and then you can visit their website or view the case study. So this shows that we have a good reputation, we've built a good website for somebody, and we want to show that off to potential people who want to purchase a website from us. So that's one way. Another way is just listing testimonials on your website. Here on the right, you can see a testimonial section from the Kudos Learn website that we built a few months ago. And again, testimonials are very similar to reviews. It's just good for people if they're kind of not quite sure yet if they want to purchase from you and they're still in the research phase. They're going to go read those testimonials and see if they're good. Again, let me know where you went on vacation this year or where you plan on going on vacation this year for a chance to win a book, The Self-Aware Leader by John Maxwell. So I just wanted to remind you all of that. And also at the end of this workshop, we will have an offer for you valued at $425. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. Number 6, is the design responsive? So today, more than ever, it's important that your design is responsive. And what that means is that your website design will work well no matter what device your users are viewing it on. So here you see that mobile accounts for more than half of web traffic worldwide. So it's very important that your website not only look good on a laptop or a desktop, but it's important that it looks good on mobile as well. So have you ever been on a website where it looks kind of like that far left example with the red X on it, where you have to zoom in on your phone just to see the words? So that's an example of a website that is not mobile friendly, and that will really increase your chances of people leaving your website very quickly, because they can easily go to a website that's easier for them to navigate and they don't have to go through that headache to view. So it's definitely important that your website's mobile friendly on all devices. Number 7, is the website secure? It's also very important that your website is secure, and the way that you make sure that it is secure is that you purchase an SSL certificate. These certificates can be purchased from most domain or hosting companies. So I would say like the most popular one that most people know is GoDaddy. But like I said, you can purchase them pretty much anywhere that provides domain and hosting services. Google is starting to get more and more strict as far as SSLs go, and websites have been getting completely blocked when their SSL expires. So in this top example with the green check mark, that shows that their website is secure. And so it's showing as HTTPS versus the bottom where it's showing a red X with HTTP. And so this is kind of what it'll look like. I'm sure most of you have ran into this error before when you're browsing the web. So it shows your connection is not private, and it even says that attackers might be trying to steal your information. So you have to go through a lot of steps to even view the website if it will let you. So you want to make sure that your SSL certificate is up to date. And if you have any questions about that, of course, feel free to reach out to me and just let me know. All right, number 8 is the website up to date? So it's very important that your website is up to date so it is attractive to people who are doing product research or service research. So the content and design on your website should be updated. The content, we're going to go a little farther into content here in a little bit. So the next half of the presentation will be mostly about content, and then the design should be updated as well. So you want your design to look current. You don't want your design to look like it's from like the early 2000s, because things have really advanced since then. And I would say that most people will view your company as not as capable if the design is not updated. So even if that's not the case, you don't want people to feel that way. 9, is the website easy to navigate? So we live in a very fast-paced world. You want your website to be easy to navigate so that way people can quickly get what they need from your website. So again, It should be similar. We always compare the navigation of a website. It should be like an airport terminal. So people go in the airport terminal to get to different places, and they want to be able to get to the different places very quickly. So you don't want your navigation to be bogged down with a ton of different pages. You want to make it very clear for your customers what you want them to do, and it should be very easy for them to find the information they're looking for. All right. And number 10 is, does it take a long time to make updates? Updates on your website should not take very long for you. So if they are, then I would recommend looking into a different kind of admin panel. But the ability to make quick updates will keep you motivated to make those updates. So kind of like we were saying that the content should be edited. It's probably not very motivating to update the images and text on your website if it takes you forever to do. The more something feels like a chore, the less you want to do it if you're anything like me. So you want to make sure that you're able to quickly make updates in the back end of your website. All right, so we are to the second half of the workshop. Don't forget to let me know where you went on vacation or where you're planning to go on vacation, and just to stay engaged with me throughout this webinar. And you'll be entered to win a book called The Self-Aware Leader by John Maxwell, which is a really great read. I've read it. It was earlier this year, so it's been a few months, but I really enjoyed it. And I think it applies to like your work life and your home life. So I think it's a great book. So now we're just going to dive into 10 website content tips. So all of these tips are related to the content on your website. So that's the images, videos, the text, and all of that good stuff. All right, number 1 is know your website goals. So we kind of already talked about the website goal and how important it is that you know the website goal, but we talked about it more in a design area. So we're going to talk about it a little more pertaining to content. Let me know what the goal of your website is if you have a website. If you don't have a website, let me know what the goal of your website would be. And a fun little thing is to have like a stranger, or not a stranger, but somebody who's not quite as familiar with your website as you are, have them go to your website and try to guess the goal of your website within like 4 seconds, because really you should be able to. So again, it should be very clear what the goal of your website is, because that will affect all of the other content that goes on your website. Number 2, you'll want to know your audience. You want to know who's coming to your website, and these are some things that you want to know about them. So you want to know their level of expertise. You want to know what they want to know. So think about yourself as one of your potential customers. What are they coming to your website to know? And that's what you're going to want to have on your website. The third is their interest. So what are they interested in? This is all very important to know about your potential customers. Once you know your audience and you know who is coming to your website and what type of person is visiting, then it's easier to persuade them. So it's harder to persuade somebody that you don't know, but once you really pinpoint your target audience, then you can start to persuade them. Some ways that you can persuade people to make a purchase or give you a call, or just to perform the action that you want them to, you can do the following things. So you can have compelling copy on your website, the use of photos on your website, and then through reviews and testimonials. So all of these things could be related to the social proof that we talked about earlier. But again, in order to persuade your audience, you need these things. Number 4, you'll want to avoid insider language on your website. So I know it's super tempting to put a ton of insider language on your website, and this is something even like myself, I need to remind myself of this a lot to avoid insider language whenever I'm talking to our clients. And so this is something you can think of too. So a good example of this is let's say that you have a law firm and all of the language on your website has to do with all kinds of legal terms that you learned in law school. Well, you're probably going to want to avoid that kind of language because you want to make sure the information is understandable for the non-specialist. So if you have a law firm and somebody's coming to your website, it's more than likely because they want to hire you for help and they didn't go to law school, so they don't understand all of the legal terminology you're throwing around. So you just want to make sure information on your website is understandable for the non-specialists. All right, number 5 is writing short and simple sentences. So I know it can be tempting to write all of these long sentences, but the average American reads at a 7th to 9th grade level, but not even just that. Kind of like I was talking about earlier, we live in a fast-paced world, so the odds of somebody reading a super long 5-paragraph article about something is low. However, if they see short, simple sentences that they can easily skim through, then that will make them a lot more likely to learn about your product or service. And going off of that, you want to make sure that the text is scannable. So like I said, you want people to quickly capture the information they need. So ways to do this is by having bulleted lists. Bulleted lists immediately make it easier to understand things. White space, you don't want to intimidate people by having a huge paragraph of text with no space in between each sentence. So white space is key. And this also affects the design of your website. So white space is very important, so that way your design remains clean. Subheaders, so that way everything's super sectioned on your website and it's easy to see what section the user should be reading. So if they see a big subheading that they're not interested in, they can just skip right down to the next section. So again, you want to make the text on your website scannable. Number 7, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual, and visuals are processed 60,000 times faster in the brain than text. So that is a lot faster. So that just shows you that a picture really is worth 1,000 words. So you want to use photos and infographics on your website as much as possible because that gets the point across very quickly. So going back to that example that I kind of talked about earlier, if you are selling something like jewelry and you put a picture of someone wearing the jewelry and it's like a really pretty picture, that will probably sell the jewelry a lot faster than a long paragraph about what the jewelry is made of and the process that it took to make the jewelry. All of that's great, but again, the photo is going to get the point across a lot faster. All right, and so going off of that, you want to make sure that you're using real photos on your website. So it can be very tempting to use stock photos on your website because, well, there's some great ones out there. You don't have to schedule a photo shoot and you can just purchase them online. It's a lot faster, but you want to use real photos on your website for a few reasons. So in this example, I have one of our clients is Shelton Energy Solutions, and so the 2 top photos are their photos, and the photos at the bottom are just stock photos. So you might not see a huge difference in these photos, but let's say that somebody, if they're even, and this pertains to a website or even social media post, but if Shelton is trying to hire, well, if they use that top photo that has their picture on the truck, well, then the viewer is going to associate nice equipment with their brand versus if they just used the photo at the bottom of just like a basic bucket truck with no logo on it. Well, that doesn't show that they have nice equipment. That could be anybody's. And then at the top, you can see the man, he's smiling. He has on a nice uniform. And then the man at the bottom, it's a good picture too, but it doesn't have that brand identity like the top photo does. So the man is not wearing a branded uniform. So that just shows the importance of using real photos on your website versus stock. Number 9, you want to showcase your culture. So throughout your website, you want to show off your company culture because the right culture can attract the right employees and even the right clients. So you can showcase your culture in a few different ways. So you can showcase it through photos like we were talking about earlier, but you can also showcase your culture by having things like your core values listed on your website, photos of your office space even. I believe that shows off culture more than you would think. Pictures of your teammates working together, different things like that can really show off your company culture. And like I said here, that it can attract employees and clients. All right, and number 10 is to plan for updates. So you'll want to plan for updates on your website, and this will look a little bit different for everyone. Just a moment, I'm sorry. Something popped up. Okay, so you'll want to plan for updates on your website. So like I said, this will look a little bit different for everybody. So for some people, you might need to update your website daily. Some people might only need to update it weekly, and some people even monthly or quarterly. So it really just depends on how many elements of your website need to be updated. But the way that I would do this is go through your website and write a list of everything that needs to be updated regularly. So if you have a section that has job openings, well, you might want to check that every few days to make sure those positions haven't been filled. Or you might want to add new ones. So job applications would be something that needs to be updated. Testimonials, you might want to add 1 new testimonial per month. So you'll write that down and you'll just list out everything that needs to be updated. And then you can make a schedule for yourself to make those updates, because if you make time for it in your calendar, you're going to be a lot more likely to do it than if you just write it on your to-do list and don't try to actually schedule it. All right, and so that is my last point for this webinar. If y'all have any questions, just let me know. Again, I'm going to be choosing a winner to win the book, The Self-Aware Leader by John Maxwell. So leave me a comment, and that will enter you to win. I will choose the winner once I log off here in a minute. But we do have one special offer for everyone who has tuned in. So today you can get the website toolkit, which is valued at $425. Let me grab the link very quickly and I will add it to the comments so that way you can get the toolkit. Just a moment. All right, so I am dropping that link in the comments right now. So if you click on the link, let me make sure that it worked really quick. It'll take me just a second. All right, it did work. I just wanted to make sure because sometimes things just don't work like you want them to. So the website toolkit is valued at $425, and for today only, it is free. So if you fill out that link, you'll get a PDF which contains the following things. It has 13 questions you need to know the answers to before you hire a website developer. The second thing is 5 critical questions that every website must answer. And then you'll get a website customer avatar. So that will help you learn your target audience, and it will help you really pinpoint who's coming to your website. So that way you can really think about what they want to know and alter your content and design towards the goal of your website and the audience. And then as a bonus, we're giving away a website audit. So once you download that PDF, you'll have the option to sign up for a website audit with me, and we'll just walk through your current website together, and I can give you some tips, and you can ask me any questions that you have. So if y'all have any questions at all, leave me a comment, and thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a very happy rest of your Wednesday.